The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to Albany County News. I'm Mary Rozak, the Director of Communications for Albany County. And I'm going to tell you, we have a very exciting program today. Standing next to me is a gentleman who is going to help you make sure that if you have a child or children, or you ever put one or more of them in your car, that you do it safely. And there are some statistics that are very alarming that I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But this is Albany County News, and an Albany County program that we're going to talk about today is our Traffic Safety Education Program. And with us is the Program Director, Bill Van Alstyne. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
The statistic I wanted to share with folks, frightening when you think about it, that since 1998, 2,000 child safety seats have been checked in Albany County. Only 89 were installed correctly.
It is frightening because vehicle seats and seatbelt systems are designed for adult passengers, not for child safety seats and not for children.
So you are not surprised when the county actually holds special child safety seat checks. You're not surprised. You actually expect that the majority of people coming in are not going to have those seats installed properly.
Unfortunately, that is true. Parents give it their best shot to try to install it, but just the technology is fighting them with the vehicle seat being not designed for a plastic device to be installed in it.
What we're going to do is we're going to show today, I know you're going to demonstrate, and Bridget is going to help us by giving us the materials. You brought in a vehicle seat, regular seat, that we would want to install a car seat or perhaps even a booster afterwards. We would want to install one, and yet I, for one, I don't have children. I have absolutely no idea how to install a child safety seat, and I would think that it would be easy.
Unfortunately, it's not easy because we need to have this car seat so tight that it doesn't move any more than 1 inch from side to side or front to back when pulled with moderate force at the seatbelt path.
And there is also more than one way, because I was not aware of this. It's the seatbelt you can actually install with the seatbelt, or you can install by other means as well.
We have two different methods of installing child safety seats in vehicles. The first is using one of the seatbelt systems, or we also have the latch system, and latch stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. Vehicles manufactured 2003 and newer are required to have at least 2 latch positions in the vehicle.
So they would be found, obviously, if the children are going to be in that second seat, that back seat, they would be in those seats.
They will be in the back seats, never the front seat, except on some pickup trucks that would have an on-off switch for the airbag. And you could find them in the third row of a minivan also, or an SUV.
Okay, we're going to get started. Bridget, why don't you give us the first piece? Now, like I said, I have no idea what is this piece of equipment for the child safety seat.
This is the base to a rear-facing only infant seat. And for our demonstration here, we are going to install it with the lower anchors of the latch system.
So the latch system. So, Bill, so that people who are watching at home will understand, you are positioned as if you are already inside the vehicle and installing it from inside the car.
Yes.
Okay.
We always want to pull from the opposite side of where your adjuster strap is. So when we install this, we make sure we angle our hooks down. We bite down, we hook up both of these. And now we are going to pull on our lower anchor strap, and we have to apply force to the child seat and get it in good and snug. And now, to give it the test, we will shake it at the seatbelt path and make sure there is no more than 1 inch of movement side to side or front to back.
Now, I don't see any movement at all when you're doing that.
Now this is a tighter installation here. Some vehicles are very difficult to get a tight installation. You have to work very hard at it. But we want to have that minimum standard of at least no more than 1 inch of movement side to side or front to back.
So the tightest installation, once again, let's go to that critical point, is actually pulling on that belt.
We're going to be pulling on our lower anchor strap and pulling on that with reasonable force there. But the big thing is you want to have leverage. Pull from the opposite side, just like I'm doing here. Push down and pull up. We want to keep this as straight a line as possible, and that will give parents the best leverage possible to get their seat in tightly.
Okay, so now we have this installed. We are going to put the child safety seat in. Yet I know, as Bridget brings that over, you also want to make people aware of how to properly have a child in the seat.
Now, installing the child seat in the vehicle is only half the battle. We need to have our harnessing done correctly too. For rear facing, we want to have our harness straps at or below shoulder level, meaning the harnesses are going around and down over the shoulders.
Okay.
We need to have our harness retainer clip right at the level of the armpits. We need to have our harness snug so when we try to pinch harness in our fingers the long way, that we can't make any harness pinch in there at all.
Okay, so that means when you're saying harness pinching, so you're talking about the actual belt. If you can pinch it, it's not tight enough.
That is correct.
Okay.
If we can pinch it and it stays in our fingers, it is too loose. Now, in the old days, it was taught to put a finger or 2 fingers under the collarbone. That is wrong information. In child passenger safety, things change, and we learn more as the years go on. And in child passenger safety, old information is usually bad information.
Okay.
We need to stay current.
You want that tight. So once that's nice and snug, we're ready to actually put the child in.
Yes, now, this being a rear-facing only seat, it has the base that this carrier will slide into. Check it, make sure it's in there. Now, you don't worry about the fact that this is wiggling back here. In child passenger safety, appearances are deceiving. We need to be snug at the belt path. Seats will wiggle a little bit back here, and it's actually a part of the design of the car seat to cushion the child in the event of a crash.
Okay, interesting. I would have asked you about that because wiggle room doesn't seem to be the appropriate word that we need to have today.
Yes.
So it just pops right in. You're good. What happens next?
Okay, and then we check our installation one more time. We want to be sure that our infant is at the correct angle in the seat, and many seats will have various types of angle indicators on them. Follow the angle indicator exactly to make sure you're within the range for having this installed at the correct angle.
Okay.
Now, with carry handles, read your car seat instructions. This particular model allows you to keep the handle in the up position. Some car seats do not allow that. So read your instruction manual for your car seat to see what is the appropriate position for your carry handle.
All right, let's talk about best placement in the back seat, because I know there are a number of different things. We've heard you said old information, maybe bad information. Where is the best place for a child in a car seat to be in the back seat? Would it be behind an empty seat? Would it be in the middle? Or is it behind actually the driver?
The center of the back seat is statistically the safest place to install a car seat. But unfortunately, that can be a very difficult place to install a car seat because the latch system that we just used here is usually not available in the center of the back seat. So we will be going to the seatbelt system. Okay. Now remember that the latch system is no safer than a seatbelt. Seatbelt is no safer than latch. They both give equal protection. Just sometimes a seatbelt can be a little more difficult to install in some cases, but not always.
So if you are using the latch system and the latch is on one of the sides. Is it preferable to put the child behind an empty seat, say the passenger seat, or behind the driver's seat?
There is no preference because the child seat exists in its own world back there, and crash testing does not involve a seat in front of the child seat. Most manufacturers don't want you to have this touching the back of the vehicle seat very hard, and some will want 1.5 to 2 inches. And remember, you have airbag sensors that are in this seat itself. You don't want this bumping into the vehicle seat to alter the performance of the airbag sensors for the front passengers.
Well, this takes up a lot of space, I think, though. But maybe it's just because I'm looking at it head on. I'm guessing this takes up no more than just legroom of an adult passenger, really.
In smaller cars, you will have problems with this bumping up against the back of the vehicle seat because we now have to consider the safety of the front passengers also. Mm-hmm. The driver needs to be at least 10 inches from the center of the steering wheel for correct airbag deployment. And on the passenger side, we want to have a minimum of 20 inches over there to give enough room for the airbag to deploy in the event of a crash. Mm-hmm. So that's where we have a lot of conflicts between child passenger safety and adult safety. In many smaller vehicles, sometimes this will go better in the middle of the back seat, so the front passengers can put their seats back and then have the correct distance between themselves and the frontal airbags.
So the middle is where we're going to shoot for. I think you're going to unhook now, so that we can actually do the other method. Let me just take the baby and put the baby aside for the moment.
Okay.
We are talking with Bill Van Alstyne, who is the program director for the Albany County DPW Traffic Safety Education Programs, and certainly is an issue that is getting a lot of attention, has gotten a lot of attention over the years when we talk about child safety seats and taking and separating the myth from the facts. So now, if we are going to now employ something a little bit different, we're no longer going to use the latch system, we're going to try and use the seatbelt system. What do we do?
Okay, first of all, we have many different seatbelt systems. We will have lap shoulder combinations like this, and we will have in vehicles 2007 and older, just a lap only belt. We're going to do the most common installation that you will see right here. Now, we have to understand 2 parts of the seatbelt. We have what's called a sliding latch plate, and our retractor is what we call a switchable retractor. As we are standing here right now for normal passenger use, this would only lock in the event of a crash. Okay. But for a car seat, we must pull this all the way out and switch it to its automatic lock mode in order to lock the car seat down tightly, so we have our standard of no more than 1 inch of movement side to side or front to back.
Okay, so I'm guessing that you will do that once you put the seat.
Yes.
Okay.
So now at this point, we're going to put our seatbelt through here and check your car seat's instructions for the correct belt path. There are many, many different types of child seats on the market, and they're all going to be different. So now, we're nowhere near ready yet because we haven't switched. We haven't switched our retractor.
Yeah.
So when switching your retractor, slowly go to the end, and then we will feed our belt back in. We are still not ready yet.
Okay, and why is that?
We have to make sure there's no twists in the belt because we still have more than 1 inch of movement side to side or front to back at the seatbelt path.
So how do you get it tighter?
We are going to push this down.
Okay.
With a lot of force. We're going to pull our belt out sideways out of the seatbelt path and then force the belt back into its retractor. If you can fortunate enough to be able to pull down straight, that's going to be even better for you to get your retractor, all the belt back in the retractor there. And now we shake it. Now we've got it. no more than 1 inch of movement side to side or front to back.
That seems a little bit harder, though, than the latch system.
It can be very difficult. And some vehicles are not friendly to this. And you may have to resort to other means of securing the car seat by means of possibly a locking clip that would be used in that.
Okay. Are we ready to bring the child?
Yep, we are ready to
All right.
have our child come in.
There we go.
And again, make sure we line everything up. We click in, make sure that the car seat does not tilt way up. Make sure it's snapped in. You're going to hear 2 snaps when it goes in. Click, click, 1 snap for each side. And now we are in.
I didn't ask you before, when we're ready to release, is there a button or how do you just...
When we go to take our carrier out of the base, you're going to find your switch in many different positions. It can be back here. Some will put it up front.
Okay.
This particular seat puts it back here, squeeze, lift straight up, and out.
Okay. All right. Seems simple enough, but
on paper, it looks simple. In actual practice, some vehicle seats can be kind of a battle because of seatbelt placement, curvature of the seat. Leather seats can be very slippery and have a hard time holding car seats in place. So we run into many, many different types of situations.
when you're talking about misinstallation, when those folks are driving in and you're finding the car seats aren't properly installed, what are some of the biggest reasons? Does it have to do with tightness? Does it have to do with positioning?
Okay, our number one thing we find is simply the car seat is too loose. Either the latch system hasn't been tightened enough, the seatbelt system hasn't been tightened enough, or forgetting to lock the retractor with this type of belt here. So those are our installation errors there. And then in really bad situations, someone may try to install this forward-facing when this is a rear-facing only seat.
Okay.
Now, on to harnessing errors, we have the harness is too loose, harness is not in the proper position for rear-facing at or below shoulder level, forward-facing at or above shoulder level. We want to have our harness clip at the level of the armpits. We do not want it down low. And we can run into issues in convertible car seats where a person is using the lower harness straps slots in forward-facing. They're not reinforced to handle a frontal crash, and then the seat can break apart in crashes like that.
Well, of course.
So we have that. And then going back to installation, most vehicles don't have the lower anchors available in the center seating position, but parents will try to use them there anyway, and that is misuse also. We can only use the designated position because the engineer has tested it, so only use it in that position. Do not try to do anything different from what the engineer says to do.
Okay. So now I'm going to have you uninstall this because we don't need the same base if we're talking about an older child, right?
Yes.
Or a front-facing.
Yeah, well...
Let me take that right out of the way, and I think Bridget's going to bring you yet another car seat.
Okay, this is what we call a convertible car seat. It is called convertible because it can be used both rear-facing and forward-facing.
Okay.
Now, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends children stay facing the rear of the vehicle until at least 2 years old, but best practice is to stay rear-facing to the upper height and weight limit of the child seat. This in particular handles up to 40 pounds in rear-facing mode and up to 40 inches. So it has a lot of room to grow in here, and rear-facing is by far the safest for children. Infants have a very heavy head and a very weak muscular system, and if they are forward-facing too young, their head can snap forward and it can cause terrible spinal cord damage, and could cause paralysis.
Okay.
So we want to have this installed facing the rear first. And again, the convertible seats, you'll read your instructions to see where your seatbelt path is. Most convertible seats will have two seatbelt paths. This is your rear-facing seatbelt path here.
Okay.
This is your forward-facing seatbelt path here. Used in two ways. Most seats will have a recline arm to get the correct angle of recline for the child in the seat. So the recline arm is in use right now to get us at the correct angle.
Okay. All right. So what do we do?
So now we are going to place this here, and this time we will do an older vehicle. We will use an older style lap belt, in this case right here. But remember, never put a real person in a lap-only belt because you don't have any upper body protection right there. Make everything easy for yourself. In the instructions for this seat, it says, undo the side, so you can get a nice straight shot through here. We're going to buckle, and we are going to pull this just like we did the latch system.
Okay.
We're going to apply force. Let's check it. No, that is not tight enough. That's how many of the seats come to us. We're going to pull down. We got to really get in there. And now we will check our installation again, checking at the seatbelt path. We are solid. Make sure we are at the correct angle. Every seat has a different way of determining the correct angle. This has a little line on the side. Let's make sure we have a little wiggle room here to get our correct angle, which we do right now.
Okay.
Now, let's put our child in the seat here. We have a taller child this time. And again, rear facing, our harness straps need to be at or below shoulder level. It would be too difficult to try to install a seat like this with the child in it. You have your child out of the seat, you install, and then our child will go in afterwards.
Yeah, and even Bill, you're just grabbing the child by the face, so I think that we have to be really careful there.
Yes.
We would have a very unhappy child, I'm sure.
When working with training dolls, it is a bit easier. We actually have the parents at our checkup events do all of the harnessing because we are not an installation service. We teach parents how to properly install their seats. We don't install and send them on their way. We teach them how to do it, so to empower them to be able to install them on their own.
Well, that's the only way that people are really going to learn what the right feel is, right? What the right fit is, how it works. Okay.
Yes. Now, again, we can't pinch any harness in our fingers. We're good. But now, a big misconception. People will say, oh my goodness, my child's legs and feet are touching the back of the vehicle seat. Is that dangerous? And the answer is no. Legs, knees, and feet are durable. They can handle a little tussling around. And even if there was to be a foot, ankle, or leg injury, that would be far, far better than a possibly permanently disabling spinal cord injury.
Sure. Bill, I'm going to, we're running out of time, so I want to make sure that we show, let's take the child out and flip the seat around to show the correct way when you said this is a convertible.
Yes.
So I want to make sure, and I'll take your Raggedy Andy, or Ann, I should say. Yes.
Okay. And I will.
And so you just uninstall.
And what we'll do, the seat will not be installed. We're just going to face so you can see what correct harnessing looks like.
Okay.
The child would never be like this for real. This is just so we can get a good shot of correct harnessing.
Correct harnessing.
So, again, we make sure our bottom is down in the well of the seat. It's very easy for your harness straps to twist. Take your time. There is never any rushing when installing car seats. Take your time. Now, it doesn't matter if you buckle the crotch strap first or the harness clip first. Well, we have found that Sometimes it just goes a little bit easier for you if you do your crotch strap first and your harness clip second. Now again, I want everybody to have a look. Is there a misuse here?
Well, let me see. We don't have, yes, as a matter of fact,
What's our misuse?
you don't have the shoulder. You've missed on the top. It's got to come over the shoulders.
And that is a typical thing we will see parents do,
Really?
is put it under the shoulders right there. So now, let's address that. We have to loosen up our harness.
Yep, we don't want to break any arms.
And now we get our harness straps over our shoulders.
Okay.
Very important there. See, that's one of those sneaky things that can happen. And when a person comes into a car seat checkup event, they're shocked. They say, "What? How did that happen?"
But you were telling me, when you were telling us earlier about the alignment with the armpits, that's what tipped me off. Okay.
Yes. And now, harness clip at the level of the armpits. Make sure we can't pinch any harness in our fingers, which we can't. Harness straps are at or below shoulder level, and we are in good shape right here.
Now, did I misunderstand? And I think you said forward. There can be forward-facing seats.
Yes.
And that's what I was understanding. This was to be by conversion. Was that not correct?
This is a convertible car seat,
Okay.
and when the child is older, over 2 years old, these 3 slots up here on this particular seat are used for forward-facing.
Okay.
The bottom 3 are rear-facing in this particular seat.
Okay.
The top 3 are forward-facing, but this slot in this particular seat can be used either rear-facing or forward-facing.
Okay.
Remember, that's just for this particular seat.
Sure.
Every seat is different, so make sure you read your instructions, and best to get your car seat checked. As you've seen, things here are pretty complicated. So consult a certified child passenger safety technician to teach you to install your car seat correctly.
Okay, we don't have time for this, but as children get older, actually there's another type of seat they can actually sit on, like a booster almost seat.
Okay, we want to stay in a 5-point harness as long as we can. At least 4 years old and 40 pounds, but
Right.
the longer we stay in a 5-point harness, the better. There are seats in the market that go up as high as 90 pounds with their 5-point harness system.
But they have to stay into a seat. How long by law? Because we're running out of time.
By law, New York State law says we need to be in a seat, some kind, either a car seat or a booster seat until at least age 8. But what we find is very few 8-year-olds fit a seatbelt safely. Best practice, the golden standard we look to, is to keep a child in the booster seat until the seatbelt fits them just like it does an adult.
Perfect. We're going to stop there. Bill, I know that you encourage people to go to child safety seat checks. I know that if they have questions, they can call the Albany County DPW Traffic Safety Education Program number, and they can have their seat checked. I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing this very important information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bill Van Alstyne. I'm Mary Rozak. This has been Albany County News. I hope you've learned a lot today, a lot that could possibly save the life of a child you love. We'll see you again soon.